Kia ora and welcome to day 15 of the Beer Jug Advent Calendar. I'm Luke.
And I'm Matt.
And we're drinking a beer from McLeod's today.
I love McLeod's. McLeod's are one of my favourite breweries in New Zealand.
I knew we were going to have to calm you down on this one.
They're a fantastic brewery up in Waipu, about 2 hours north of Auckland, and they're a fantastic team producing some of the best beer in New Zealand. They have a fantastic venue where they make delicious food, and they're just all around lovely people and great brewers.
Yeah, McLeod's are the real deal. They are lovely people and just really a fun group of people that are fantastic and passionate, but they're also very, very serious when it comes to beer. They do not muck about in any way, whether it comes to the quality of the ingredients, their process, their packaging. They don't take any shortcuts. And just as one little example, it's one of the only breweries that they insist on delivering their own beer to Auckland in a special refrigerated truck, and the deliveries arrive here at the Fridge and Flag in our warehouse, and of course all the deliveries that arrive here, our warehouse is just that massive chiller in the back. Everything goes straight in there, but their driver turns up and says, right, I'll put it straight in the chiller because it's hoppy beer, should be kept cold.
Yeah.
And they go that extra step to do everything they can to ensure that people are looking after the beer as they should be.
Yeah. And that's why this beer tastes so fucking good.
Cheers. It's a good beer.
Yeah, I've actually had a can of this the other day, and this is how it's done for me. This is a stunning example of a hoppy pale ale, unfiltered pale ale, so a little bit hazy, but not brewed with that kind of hazy style in mind. But just allowing those hops to stay in suspension, and it's just absolutely sings. It's got a good level of bitterness to it, but it drops out of the way to allow those fruity hops to present. American Idaho 7 and Rewalker, and it's just got that big punchy fruit bowl of a nose, and I love this beer. I think it's spectacular.
It's seriously good, and again we'll try not to gush too heavily.
I won't.
But there are a handful of breweries around New Zealand that we just have complete trust in. So generally we work on curating the beers, and we sort of pick and choose and we try things. We don't just put beers in subscription boxes willy-nilly. But when McLeod's come out with a new beer, we just order it because we know it's going to be great, and they've never let us down.
No, never. And and it's just we get such great support from the team up there. I love McLeod's. It's really cool. So their venue up in Waipu is called the McLeod's Pizza Barn. It's right near the beach, and they do amazing loaded pizzas. You can get I think the biggest tasting flights I've ever seen. I think that you can order like 4, 6, 8, or 12.
12 beer tasting flight, that's good going.
And they've got all the little samples on there. You can choose from a huge selection, and just great service always. So it's owned by two brothers, Jeff and Clayton Gwynn. Clayton looks after the venue side and is pretty much always behind the bar taking care of you. Jeff looks after the beer side, so any of you who've been to events like Beervana and the Clouds tastings around will have met him, and a lovely gregarious guy. Jason Bathgate, who's the head brewer, who has a great pedigree, former Renaissance. Was he at 8 Wide?
I think he was brewing some 8 Wide beers while he works at Renaissance, perhaps, because 8 Wide used to contract brew at Renaissance and other places. So, sorry, not completely sure on that. As always, we could do a bit of research.
Always.
Jason is an extremely talented and hardworking brewer, and very, very highly regarded in the scene, and wins many, many awards for the beers, with good reason. So McLeod's were, I suppose, the 802 series was one of the forerunners when it comes to New England style IPAs.
Well, Jason actually being from New England.
From Vermont, right?
Yeah, and 802, for those of you who are familiar with the series, being the area code for Vermont and for the area that Jason grew up. So really strong ties back to that New England brewing scene.
Yeah, and I feel like there was maybe a bit more hype and excitement about craft beer a couple of years ago than there is these days. Perhaps maybe drinkers are getting a bit jaded, or there's just simply so many beers out there. But certainly 802, and they're on number 44 now.
They've crept up there.
Yes, they release a new version every 4 or 6 weeks thereabouts. But yeah, a year or so ago, the 802s would come out, and we'd have some cans in our venue, or we'd put a keg on tap. We'd have people turning up at the warehouse bang on 12 o'clock when we opened. It was a big event, and kind of rightly so.
Yeah.
They're really, really good beers.
Yeah, but as you say, there's not that same kind of release day culture. We've never had it hugely in New Zealand, but for a couple of years there, a lot of your kind of big, exciting breweries, McLeod's, Garage Project, Behemoth, a lot of those ones where they've got those kind of really ardent fans.
Stuff was selling out.
We're releasing beers that were selling out in a day.
Yeah.
And we talked about recently in another video where in America they have lines around the block for some of these releases at like Trillium and Treehouse, and
that's so interesting just to read about. And I think maybe it's a cultural thing.
I think Americans, like, they say they don't love to queue, but you see the stuff about Black Friday, and then there's like places like Franklin Barbecue in Austin where you have to queue for 4 hours to get a little plate of meat.
But it's a whole business, and there are actually just apps and websites where you can book somebody to stand in a queue for you. So if you're, a rich city banker sort of person, you can just pay someone $20 an hour to just like queue up and get you a slab of Haze Boys.
Yeah,
crazy. Anyway, we're getting a little bit off topic.
Bit of a tangent.
So Idaho 7 and Rewalker.
Yeah,
that's a nice combo.
Yeah. So that's an American hop in Idaho 7, and Rewalker is one of the most sought after New Zealand hops. But yeah, they're playing together really nicely here. It's just it's one of the things that separates, I think, good beer from great beer, which I think this is the way those hops kind of work in harmony with each other, and just a smoothness to that flavor profile where it kind of, it all ties together seamlessly, and it's integrated to the malt base.
Yeah,
it's a big flavorful beer. It's hoppy and it's a punch in the face, but it still retains that balance. There's some nice sweetness to the malt base there. So it kind of I'd almost say caramel toffee, but it doesn't have that kind of cloying sweetness that implies.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting some sort of it's far from being a dry finish. It's not it's not like an oat cream IPA or something. It's not overly sweet and cloying, but there's that nice just that nice rich sort of West Coast IPA vibe sweetness.
Yeah.
Which brings me to is this too hoppy for a pale ale? Should this be an IPA?
What percentage is it? 5.8.
Yeah. Putting on you're not wearing your BGCP beer judge.
I should be wearing my judging badge right now. If you want to get technical on me, give me a sec.
I'm just trying to make you say something that's well, not negative, but ambivalent about McLeod's, as it's been a gush fest so far. Can we fault them?
I would say that, style guideline wise, it doesn't have the bitterness for an IPA.
Okay.
And at 5.8, it's really on the cusp.
It's on the low side.
More and more in recent years, you're seeing more and more brewers releasing IPAs at 5. I've seen some like 4.5%, 4.8, 5.5. To me, really 6% is where you kind of cut over from pale ale to IPA, because one of the main distinguishing features between the styles, and it's a spectrum, and that style guideline, it goes kind of from session IPA, APA, pale ales into IPAs and up to double IPAs. So there's some arguments to be said that with that hopping level, that dry hop level definitely could sit comfortably on an IPA. But to me, the bitterness doesn't quite get up to IPA levels, though hazy IPAs have muddied the waters in that regard as well. And the ABV is, again, you'll see a bunch of IPAs, particularly core range IPAs, coming in at 5.8% and thereabouts. And really, that's the kind of, to me, that's the floor of what I'd call a proper IPA. And when I see a 5% IPA, I'll tell you that's a pale ale. But IPA sells better, so that's why people do it.
I've seen some 0.5% IPAs, Matt.
Yep. So yeah, a lot of the non-alcoholic beers that people are releasing, they're calling it non-alcoholic IPA, which, again, style guidelines are kind of broadening out, and people are looking at different terms for things, and it's all a bit loose. And I know that and with our Small Gods hats on, we definitely play with those style guidelines and what is appropriate. But you try and find to me, it's about finding the correct label to put on something to let people know what kind of thing to expect. And even if you're kind of falling slightly outside on some of the descriptors and some of the technical elements that go to make up a style, as used by beer judges and people with important hats on, it's all semantics, really.
It is semantics, and I also did see a smoked IPA come out last year, which was literally a Ralph beer. It was a lager. So the moral of the story is words mean nothing.
Yeah.
But the one word that means something is IPA, which means you're going to sell a lot more of that beer than you would ordinarily. So if there are any brewers out there watching this and you want to sell something, just stick IPA on the ends of it. You know, it could be a banana milkshake IPA, just whatever.
Yeah.
Just use the word IPA in place of beer. It's fine.
Yeah.
But with this beer in particular, no one's going to complain about this being too hoppy for a pale ale.
No, because
it's
fucking
very,
delicious.
very good thing. Great beer, McLeod's. We knew we were going to love it, and we indeed are loving it. Well, we had it before and we loved it at that time as well, so it's just nice to revisit.
Yeah.
On to other stuff.
Christmas party.
Christmas party.
We've told you about the Christmas party every day for the last week, so you probably know about it already if you're watching this video.
Did we tell them about that Mountain Culture beer?
Yes, I think it is. Yesterday.
Already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. We've got a really cool Mountain Culture cake. It's got like maple syrup and stuff in it.
Maple syrup Imperial Stout. We're doing like a one-off like Imperial Stout flight, so you can come and taste a bunch of Imperial Stouts, some skewers from Strawberry Pig. I'm going to be here. Luke's going to be here. Joe's going to be here.
You're doing a cameo behind the bar, aren't you? Aren't you just volunteering to be the bartender for the day to give Joe a day off? Was that what Joe was telling me?
Bye, jokes. See you later.
See you tomorrow.